So yeah, this is the 5th attempt at casting this game because of various technical issues and other mishaps. So here we are.
Advance to CU target.
Hopefully everybody in Twitch will tell me if my audio is messed up. If you're on YouTube, I have Twitch on now, so I can talk with people, so if I seem a little more conversational, that's why. Anyway, this is JHS. He's in the Galcian carrier. We're on Galcian territories, which is my favorite map of all time, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but maybe not too much, because I could probably go on for days about why Galcian territories is my favorite map. His opponent is Lorenzo in the Coalition. So, some good old CVG here. And while we do have a little bit of time at the opening, I actually am going to talk about Galcian territories and why it's my favorite map. It's my favorite map because it's a staircase. Most other maps just kind of have valleys and hills, and you kind of climb up one side of the hill and fall down another side. But on Galcian territories, you have these like flat spots, and then you climb up a staircase. It is also my favorite map because it is asymmetrical, but I believe still balanced. Lorenzo here is starting at a very low point on the map, not the single lowest point, but a pretty low point, and he's got a whole lot of high ground all around his spawn. Meanwhile, JHS, kind of in the opposite scenario, on a nice high plateau here, and, you know, there's a whole lot of low ground right near him that he can fire down upon, although there is this gentle uphill slope. The highest point on the map is Lorenzo's extraction zone, very defensible, very easy to attack from, very hard to assault, and the lowest point on the map is JHS's extraction zone. Really, anything that's in here is going to die pretty quickly, so if you are extracting artifacts, you want to get in and get out if you're JHS. If you're Lorenzo, you might want to linger at the top. So what we're going to see is JHS really kind of coming across this high area with some scouts, which is a good idea. Both players really want to control this zone up here. There's a great ridge here to station railguns along. And in general, if you let your opponent grab this area and control it, it's just a real problem for you. This middle area actually, you know, this is important, but not as much as you'd think. You can kind of use it to dominate this artifact cap zone, but you need to control this ridge, or this artifact cap zone and this ridge are vulnerable. So it's really a whole lot like dominoes, you know. If you can control a higher area, your influence across the map can cascade down. Anyway, JHS grabbing an artifact, good stuff. Building up sand skimmers, good stuff. Lorenzo building AAVs, has AV tech researched, good stuff. Kind of the usual Coalition Galcian stuff, and really no surprises so far. The sand skimmer is going to bug out right as soon as that AAV comes out. Very wise. Economically, these players are pretty much on even footing. JHS does have production cruiser refinery mode, while Lorenzo is just remote mining with this one. Well, not really remote mining. He's got the support cruiser there, so he's mining with just this one RU salvager. Not quite as many salvagers as JHS has up, but that's really not a particularly important difference as it is. I do have a cold, so I'm gonna like mute for a second while I blow my nose and cough and take a sip of tea.
Light attack moving. Rally position marked.
You're really much better off for having missed that. I did some audio tests, actually, testing, like, what if I just, like, hack and cough right into the microphone? Does it start clipping and stuff? And, you know, not as much as you would think, but it does do it a little bit. So, JHS is going to bounce back, grab the nearby artifact. That's awesome. He's also going to come in here right over this ridge, using a bit of a high ground advantage here on this salvager, but he didn't really commit, and so these AAVs are just going to clean him up. He'll get away, but he didn't really do anything there. We do have another production cruiser from JHS, which is pretty cool, and railgun tech here for JHS. Also missile ship tech, so he'll be guarded against Lorenzo having air tech. I don't know that there's any sign yet that Lorenzo has air tech, except maybe that Lorenzo doesn't yet have railguns out. But, you know, Lorenzo has a support cruiser out. Having the support cruiser is, you know, not the most, like, speedy kind of build, right? It's more of a greedy build. You're not going to get railguns out super fast that way. So I'm not really sure what the paranoia from JHS is about. Oh, this is so close!
Course set. Railgun reading.
This railgun needs to get back. It can regenerate all of its health, but it, like, this one needs to be just right in front of it, because those shots are going to take it out! Oh, man. That's what Micro's all about, JHS. I'm judging you. That railgun should be alive. You murdered him. So some damage going to go on the base runner, not really going to prevent that from going in. These AAVs are going to be enough to bully around the railguns and the sand skimmers. Megarith, I think I did not forget to unmute, but let me know if you... Well, actually, you can't even hear me. So let me know if you do hear me, and then I'll know that I properly unmuted.
Defense alert. Heretic forces have secured an artifact. Salvager moving. Charge layout set. Get started. Destination verified.
So let's see what we've got.
Course set. Salvager construction complete.
Mostly heavy railguns with an assault rail from JHS, and mostly AAVs with some railguns from Lorenzo. So pretty interesting mix. The AAVs can definitely screen off the sand skimmers. Going to be pretty tough to do anything against the heavy rails, but can definitely take out assault rails before they get too close. So what we need to see from Lorenzo here is these railguns doing more. And Lorenzo needs to capture this ground up here, or this ground up here, and assault the middle from an advantage.
Course mapped.
This is a perilous position to start in. It's not that this position cannot be defended or that you cannot assault from this position, but you have to prioritize marching up the hill this way towards your extraction zone, even if you're not capping with it, and assault from that position, because the high ground advantage is just amazing when you're using railguns. Yeah, you know, Megarith is mentioning in chat, LAVs with boost would be really useful, and they would, because you got assault railguns over here, heavy railguns here. These are super vulnerable. Anything that's fast can get in here and just obliterate these railguns, and Lorenzo only has slow things, and the only things he has among the slow things that can touch these railguns are these railguns, and they're approaching from the low ground. JHS has the high ground here, and he's gonna just snipe down all of these railguns, leaving some AAVs here, which could close and do some damage if JHS doesn't back up. These assault rails are gonna come in and give cover, and he will back up, but he's like backing up and losing vision at the same time, which is kind of he's like shuffling around. Not the best retreat with railguns, and this railgun I think is gonna go down. This one too, maybe? Another railgun coming in from Lorenzo, getting a few shots off, but these two not quite going down.
Rally position marked.
So JHS now up 3 artifacts, just without a worry, capping all 3 along the line. Oh, actually not all 3, because Lorenzo got 1.
Heating navigation update. Ranged advancing. Light attack vehicle
yeah,
we have visual on the artifact.
We will check upgrades here. We got veterancy here with an AAV, but that's it, right? No upgrades at all on these units for Lorenzo. Meanwhile, for JHS, we have railgun armor coming in just now. So that'll help against the AAVs a lot.
Light attack vehicle online.
Defense alert. Enemy armor inbound.
Verified.
Destination locked in.
Yeah, an air switch would be useful, except that JHS already has missile tech.
Defense fleet has reached maximum.
So we need to be really careful about that.
Destination locked in. Coordinates verified. Advance out. Evasive movement.
Hostile armor destroyed.
Reposition.
Destination locked in.
Mobilize. Comply.
Assault railgun destroyed.
Destination marked. Move through contact. Move through contact. Push out.
These AAVs really just soaking up way more damage than they had to. JHS was able to throw away some assault rails there. So here's air, as Megarith asked for, but here are missile ships, and it's like microed. These can do some damage, but it's a dangerous time when there are missile ships out in the field to be throwing out a small number of strike fighters. Lorenzo should double down on the strike fighters or just kind of abandon them completely. Use them, not near the missile batteries. Yeah, there was some really good micro from Lorenzo in the beginning of that fight. He was able to get a hit off, take out a railgun before any of those missile batteries could fire, and then he retreated away. So that was really good. And in all that, Lorenzo nabbed an artifact, and he nabbed the one that's closest to JHS's extraction zone, which is really great, especially at 3 of 5. That's going to mean that JHS has to move further throughout the map. And here, Lorenzo is moving out to the right spot. Could, you know, if you went around this lip, there you go, he's got a high ground advantage, and he's going to try and snipe down this railgun. Ooh, getting vision with another railgun, that's really good.
Assault railgun lost.
And in that fight there, Lorenzo did push JHS back way away from Lorenzo's doorstep, so that's good. And Megarith is saying in the chat, okay, but what else is he doing? He needs something better than 6 LAVs. And yes, I completely agree. That's really the summary that I have for this game is Lorenzo needs something better than 6 AAVs. We're going to see that a lot. I'm going to watch this fight in the background as we focus on these fighters. Lorenzo's going to get cleaned up here by sand skimmers and a missile barrage. These strike fighters are going to come in, and it looked like they were going to fire on the resources, but they didn't. They instead navigated right over these missile batteries, which I have to think is a misclick of some kind. These strike fighters are going to go down without losing a single missile out of their tubes, and more strike fighters going to come out from Lorenzo. So that was 5 that we had stoked up there, and he's going to immediately retreat with these again. Probably a wise move, but it just doesn't seem like Lorenzo, like he built the right unit, and he's having a lot of trouble using it well. I think he really likes these railgun and AAV combos, and he's just having trouble succeeding with them. I think he has enough units to do a lot of damage in these fights, but he keeps building them right here, not really positioning them all that well.
Destination siege cruiser production online.
Move through contact. Destination locked.
Hostile armored craft destroyed.
Course set.
JHS really took no losses there. He lost, what, a few sand skimmers. A lot of railguns and AAVs for Lorenzo went down. And just look at the unit movement. JHS moves across up on this high ground area. Lorenzo moves into the valley. It's really too bad to see this. And I wonder if Lorenzo maybe is thinking the same thing that I thought when I first played this map, which is that it's just flat and open. The first time I played Gaussian Territories, I was like, ah, it's flat. And it took me a few times to really realize that it's a staircase.
Hostile railgun approaching.
These units are sort of just hiding here. They could be moving up here.
Taking fire.
There's plenty of screening here from AAVs to protect against the sand skimmers. What there isn't enough of is railguns to screen for the railguns, or for the AAVs themselves, but also to take out JHS's railguns here.
Hostile strike fighter destroyed. A strike craft has been destroyed.
So, yeah, Megarith is saying unless Lorenzo powered and nobody noticed, he's gone. Yeah, we'll watch for that. I do want to note, here's like 6 LAVs. 5 LAVs. These are all just going to get cleaned up. There are a lot of units being thrown away. We can see Lorenzo taking much heavier losses. Yeah, railgun here is going to go down, but a lot of LAVs are going to go down, and we can see the CU lost here for Lorenzo just really stacking up, and the resources for JHS totally stacking up. He kind of just doesn't even know how to spend all the money he's got. He is pumping out siege cruisers, I believe. Yeah, so siege cruisers coming out for JHS, which, you know, as if he needed them, right? I want to point out, here are 6 LAVs from Lorenzo.
Carrier range systems offline. Move to destination. Light attack vehicle rendering complete.
And this is just not a fight you can win. There's an assault ship here. There are heavy railguns, but also assault railguns. There are sand skimmers all around here. Even just the sand skimmer versus sand skimmer fight, I think JHS wins on the basis of upgrades versus Lorenzo's unupgraded LAVs. But now here, like, a significant portion of the damage done in this fight by Lorenzo was actually friendly fire from JHS's siege cruiser. So consistently, Lorenzo can kind of strike and shove JHS back, but all he has is what he has back at home still.
Operator, new course.
Acknowledge.
Meanwhile, we do see a really dangerous situation here. JHS is on 4 artifacts. He only needs 1 more. And the artifact right near his extraction zone is available. Lorenzo's doing the right thing here, moving out LAVs to... Well, there we go. Okay, the targeting switch was a little scary for a minute. But he's going to take out this base runner. And I would have, I think, if I were Lorenzo, allowed JHS to cap that artifact and then take it out. Just so that it's not available anymore, so that it has to recharge.
Secure at all costs.
Sounds good, Lorenzo.
Heavy railgun online.
Mapped.
But there is something interesting here if we look at Lorenzo's tech. He is getting power reserve,
Guard position set on railgun. Course set.
and there's something else that you should notice. I will give the stream time to
Missile barrage.
take a look at the tech and see what Lorenzo might be doing here. These LEVs are doing their best, but oh, I really don't think they're going to get a ton done. The siege crews are going down really fast, actually. I don't know if it's going to go down. It doesn't really look it's going to go down, but
Invasion strike craft down.
good try, I guess. There's just really nothing back at home to save us here.
We're tracking new targets.
Yeah, so Lorenzo has battlecruiser tech,
Course verified.
and he's got carrier power.
Command air.
There is a play here,
Inbound.
and the play mostly involves no longer doing what Lorenzo's been doing all game. It involves moving uphill.
Railgun destroyed.
It involves building railguns and sitting them at the top of the hill. It involves using the LEVs, and instead of sending them one at a time into the fight, it involves massing them in order to counter what JHS has got here. Really, what Lorenzo should be saying is, you know, the biggest advantage he has is JHS's unit capped.
Under attack.
High speed to target. Verified. 4-7. Rails on target. Indicator set up.
Defense alert. Hostile cruiser spotted.
So here, JHS is just moving in a dominant position. He's popped out of Lorenzo here has popped out of battlecruiser.
Heavy railgun destroyed.
And this has so much killing potential. You can see even just one little tiny hit splashing there on a heavy railgun almost destroyed it completely. But this battlecruiser is running away. Lorenzo, okay, buddy.
Destroyed.
This thing should have been up there, and the reason why is that this ridge protects the battlecruiser. You can let this battlecruiser just sit right there along the ridge, and any units have to either get in close to it, in which case it blows them all up, or they can't shoot at you.
Enemy sensor post
Sit inside
destroyed.
this ridge, maybe.
Defense alert.
Don't move it away. The battlecruiser has no range.
Sand skimmer under
Yeah, Megarith is like yelling in the chat too. Now running it into the rails, and that's exactly what you should do. Here it's just gonna take so much damage, and it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna shoot at sand skimmers, and you could build another battlecruiser maybe. You don't really have any resources, so that's fair. But instead of getting Power Reserve 4, maybe build another battlecruiser. Run it right into the railguns. Drop it off there. Actually, you did build another one. No, it was a support cruiser that went down. Well, oh well. Now this isn't gonna really repair. The carrier's gonna move in. There's no power and weapons though, so like unless another battlecruiser pops out, there's not going to be a lot done here. This battlecruiser could move up and take out one of these 3 siege cruisers, but it's just going to sit there and die.
eliminated.
And Lorenzo is going to GG out of the game. So that frustrating game to watch, I think, because there were a lot of things that, you know, we sort of say the player could have done, and one of the things that I see from Lorenzo a lot is that he'll make amazing choices or gain amazing advantages and then just not use them. There was a game that I cast once between me and Lorenzo where he actually had all the tools available to just completely destroy me. He had like a 13 or 15 carrier power or something ridiculous and just didn't use any of it. And so my advice for Lorenzo is just try and round out the play. Because you're really good at this game, actually. And unfortunately, a lot of the games that I see from you lately are like, you know, you just kind of drop a thing here or there. And it actually reminds me a lot of a player we have here in the chat, Megarith. It's slightly different flavor, right? But you've got all the tools available. I think you can win a ton of games. Look forward to seeing more from you soon. So to YouTube, thank you for watching. I'm going to end that now and go back to Twitch. But on Twitch, we're going to keep streaming games.